We gotta just chill out, man.
Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network's Dave Schofield coming at you Tuesday night, a little bit after 9 p.m. Where else would you rather be, Steelers fans? And with me as always, except when he's not, is my big brother, Rich. Rich, how are you doing tonight?
Well, let's just say, Dave, that we went from really bad to really, really bad.
Yeah. I don't know that we went from really bad to really, really bad, but we, let's just say this. I know last week we didn't see a lot of the stuff on the same page. And we even talked about it on Thanksgiving when we were together, nowhere close to either one of our houses, but we got together with family. And my whole thing, and I was trying to say, hey, when you look back and say you lost to a team, which ironically is now the number one seed in the NFC, at their place by 3 points, blah, blah, blah. That story is not as bad as it can be. And you're like, oh, no, it was terrible. We had the disagreement about that. But this is what I have to say. You wanted to talk about how bad the Steelers' Week 12 performance was? Well, guess what? The Week 13 Steelers said, hold my beer. That's what happened.
See, you're saying hold my beer. See, I'm still looking at it as it was the same. It was the same old, same
they
old.
Proved it.
So,
Yeah.
it was rough.
But
it was not a fun time in the stadium.
For those of you that didn't know, Rich was there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially the second half, but there wasn't even a whole lot of excitement coming out of the first half.
Yeah, because even though the Steelers had that lead, it was just like something felt different. Something just felt, I don't know, off, odd. I don't know how to explain it. And I'm like, it's not very often you get to halftime and you still don't really have any kind of feel for the game.
Yeah.
That's how I felt doing the knee-jerk reaction article for you while I was sitting on my couch alone because my family won't watch the game with me when I have to do the knee-jerk article because they know that when I have to do it, they can't be bothering me with stuff because I have to, when the time comes for me to do that, I have to be able to do it and everything. So I'm by myself dealing with all that. I'm happy about a touchdown. But yeah, it was just, I'm like, it still something didn't feel quite right.
I put in the comments on your post-game show. I don't actually end up in there twice. Don't know if you saw what I said. Kyle actually at one point, as we were leaving the game, and we left early. We left our seats with 4.5 minutes to go. Kyle, we're walking down the ramp, and Kyle said, I have never seen anything so disheartening in person before.
Yeah. I always thought the losses were easier to take in person than sitting at home. I don't know if that was true for this one.
That was
because there was stuff that went on at the stadium, and we will get to that. We've got plenty in-stadium stuff to talk about. But what we're going to the question we're going to ask is, can anything spark this Steelers team? And the whole reason I asked is because we do have some news to talk about. And I'm not saying that this is definitely going to be a spark, but it is a question. But the Steelers, who were sitting with 52 players on their 53-man roster because Broderick Jones was placed on IR, and I had to explain this to Jeff because I think he didn't understand this from before, couldn't remember right, that Asante Samuel was a practice squad elevation. He wasn't added to the 53 until today. Because the moves that the Steelers made was the report comes out that Darius Slay doesn't want to be with the Steelers anymore. You know what, though? My first thought was good riddance because dag nabbit, for how long has he been playing when he shouldn't be playing with the Steelers anymore? I'm not saying that he doesn't have it anymore everywhere, but he doesn't have what the Steelers thought that he had and what they needed him to have in order for them to have any kind of success with him.
Correct.
So to me, I would say I'm glad. I'd rather he not be around. It's funny because when they elevated Asante Samuel Jr., got it out that time. When they elevated him last Saturday, I updated my predicting the inactives list. And what I said was, by elevating him, it now brings in the possibility that Darius Slay could be inactive. I'm not going to predict that, but it would not shock me because I didn't have him listed before under all my various things I do for that article. If you've ever read that before, I said, you know what? I went with, well, maybe they want an extra corner because Joey Porter Jr. coming off what he was going off. They just want to have one extra at that position rather than an extra safety, which would have made sense. But that's not what they did. I actually thought maybe Sebastian Castro, because I figure he's the last guy on the depth chart. Although he plays special teams, it might be him. Nope, it was Slay. And when I saw that, I'm like, the end could be near for this. And then I didn't think about it anymore because of the game and everything. And the end was very near for it.
Yes.
So Darius Slay, gone. In Coach Tomlin's press conference today, you had an idea that Asante Samuel was coming on the 53 then. Because the way Coach Tomlin talked about it, was like, we wanted to get a good look at him before we were forced to make a decision. Meaning there were other teams snooping around trying to see if they could sign him.
Yes.
So why not get a game under our belt to know to get a little bit more data before we say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And he's now on the 53-man roster for the Steelers. But because of that, it's funny because the national reporters, like, to make room, they released Darius. Like, no, they had room. They had room. But they don't know that the Steelers really sit with 52. Why would they know that? But then the Steelers also claimed wide receiver Adam Thielen off waivers, something I thought about when he asked to be released and was released, but didn't. I'm like, I would be happy if the Steelers did that. Do I think that he could come in and be the answer? Is my expectation that? No. But at least it shows to me that they're willing to try to do something at this stage when there's not much you can do. What did you think of the moves today, bro?
The move with Asante Samuel I knew was going to come because you couldn't put him back to the practice squad because he'd have gotten poached, without a doubt. So that was a no-brainer. I mean, when Thielen asked and got his release, you just say, hey, do we want to put a claim in, take a flyer on this? You know, just because you put a claim in doesn't mean you get him.
Yes.
Because, other teams in front of you could have put in a claim, but they did not. So,
but name a team that would have had the choice before the Steelers that would have been worth their while to do it, because they're still, I mean, I don't know, the Steelers have the same record as the Chiefs, but I don't know who actually had the waiver priority there. I mean, everyone else, you think about other playoff teams, if they wanted to add somebody, that would have been after the Steelers. So, sorry. Back to what you were saying.
No. So, overall, the two moves, the one is predictable, and the other one was okay, you take a flyer during the season. Why not?
Yeah, and honestly, it's really no harm, no foul. They were interested in Thielen a year or two ago. I can't remember what it was. I think that's when he went to. Was he in Carolina only 1 year, or was it this past off season when he went back to? I can't remember.
Yes,
but there was some ties there. Do I think he comes in as suddenly amazing? I'm not expecting that. Could he come in as a veteran receiver and maybe do some things that they weren't having done otherwise, and maybe free up a little bit for DK Metcalf? Maybe. Does he come in and not even see the field? It's a possibility.
Yep.
There's a wide range there. But what I like more than anything is it was once again, it was we're just not going to sit back and not take an opportunity to do stuff. Do the Steelers have a better roster now than they did 48 hours ago?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to be a world changer, but there's also nothing you can do to change the world right now anyway.
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, we didn't just go from a 4 to an 8.
Yeah.
You know, we went from a 4.6 to a 4.9.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, and I mean, and it's not like the Steelers are thinking, oh, well, maybe beyond this year. No, I mean, because he already announced this is his last year and everything. But so much of what the Steelers are doing is for a team this year, and they're not trying to just run it back with the same team next year. That's not how they set up their contracts. And that's not how things are shaping up for the draft and everything else. So some people are just like, oh, great. Well, who's going to throw him the ball? Well, who's going to play defense? You know, that's the thing. And that just bugs the crap out of me. Just people being stupid on social media. It's the whole idea of, yeah, you have multiple problems. And if you would have asked me 1 week ago, what's the Steelers' biggest problem? I would say they don't have any threat at wide receiver outside of DK Metcalf. I would have put that as their biggest problem. Now, then this past week, they had a whole bunch of problems. And because they didn't do something to try to address every single one of them, all you want to do is address all the ones that they had this past week, not the one that they actually tried to maybe see if something would work. Yeah. So, but that just goes to show that fans of the Steelers or many teams are just never going to be happy. So it is what it is. So, and where you want to, so that's why I said, could the player Adam Thielen spark this team? I don't know. I don't expect it, but could the mentality of, hey, we're going to still be looking anywhere we can to do everything that we can to make this team better. Does that maybe help a little bit in the locker room? It could. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I'll give you time to comment.
You were wrapping it up there. What else was there to comment on?
No, I just didn't know if you had any other thing to throw in there.
I'm good.
All right, so there we go, and it's funny because people are going, "Oh, he's so old. Oh, he's so old." Yeah, he is. You know what? And tell me another option that the Steelers could have added right now that was better than that one. Some people want to talk about MVS on the practice squad. If he was doing that great on the practice squad, guess what?
He'd use him. Yep.
They'd use him. And they haven't. So that should tell. I mean, he's been on the practice squad, what, 3-4 weeks? Yeah. So, no, there's not any better option of what they could have done to improve. So the fact that they did anything, I'm just like, good. Don't just sit back and think, well, we just gotta continue to make better plays and, you know, the typical coach speak. So, all right, Rich. So you know what? We're going to live in our misery. We're going to talk about this past game and how low it really was.
Okay.
At what point did you feel this, like, all right, there's no way the Steelers are going to win this game?
Was very early in the game, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not have known it, but of course, me being in the stadium and seeing everything happening, it was an extremely disheartening play. I believe it was in the first quarter. You probably remember there was a time where Aaron Rodgers gets back into the pocket, kind of holds the ball, and then last minute dumps it out at Johnny Smith's feet out in the left flat along the Steelers sideline. It was then.
Okay.
Because Aaron Rodgers on that play had already missed Roman Wilson running wide open in the middle of the field. And when I say wide open, I'm saying he didn't have anybody within 8 to 10 yards of him. And he didn't throw in the ball. Then, after he missed him, Freiermuth was coming up the seam and then breaks an in route and was open. There was a win, he could have thrown the ball there. Continue to hold it and then throw it at Johnny Smith's feet. And when I saw that,
I don't remember.
When I saw that, I was just like, this is not going to be a good day for the offense.
Yep. But I mean, here's the thing that's interesting. Guys could be running wide open, but if they're running not where they were expected to be, it's kind of hard to then throw the ball to them down the field because if they're already where they're not supposed to be, you don't know where they're going to keep going when they're supposed to keep going. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it could happen there
with Freiermuth, but Rodgers looked down the middle. He was looking right. Then he came to the middle where Roman Wilson was, and Kyle could tell you, I yelled, "Throw it to him! He's open!" And then he continues to come over to the left and throw it at Johnny Smith's feet, and basically just give up on the play.
Yeah. To me, the moment that I thought was done, it was a combination of things. It was the third quarter. I think a lot of people, for them, it was the third quarter. I mean, my goodness, the Steelers had a 4-point lead and were getting the ball coming out of halftime. How could you not think it was still possible for them to win the game? But so for me, obviously you get that first play, and that's the strip, sack, fumble return, touchdown. I never once thought during that whole time that could have been roughing the passer. I just didn't think about it. I mean, people have pointed out how there's been a lot of worse things done there because he fell on him with his whole body weight. But, I mean, my goodness, they didn't call that one on with Patrick Queen at the end of the first half. So
fell on him with his whole body weight. Yeah. But Dave, when he hit him, Rodgers still had the ball.
Yeah. Well, even if you still have the ball, if you're sacking the quarterback, how many times did T.J. Watt get called, gets the sack, the quarterback doesn't get it away and gets the sack, and you still get flagged because you laid it on him with the body weight. That it doesn't matter if they have the ball or not. So but I didn't think about that in that moment if that should have been a penalty. I mean, it's one of those things that I'm sure if they would have called it, the Bills fans would have thrown a fit, and I wouldn't have blamed them. But then Aaron Rodgers goes out. I thought it was his wrist. Obviously, it was his nose. When Mason Rudolph comes onto the field, I'm like, I don't know about this.
When I got to tell you,
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Okay.
Because the moment, and I don't know which play it was, but the moment that I said, nope, I knew a combination of playing, scheme, preparedness, everything was coming together that the Steelers were not going to win this game, was when Mason Rudolph took a snap from the pistol. That stupid pistol was terrible. And I understand if you had to do it with Rodgers and what you were doing, and some people are like, oh, the pistol was so bad. No, I still would have rather had Aaron Rodgers in the pistol than Mason Rudolph not, just based on the previous week. But the problem with the pistol is, and I don't know if you read the knee-jerk reaction article.
Yes, I did. And
because the one thing I said is like, hey, Kenneth Gainwell just ran for 8 yards. Oh, but he got the ball 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Therefore, it was only a 1-yard gain.
Yeah.
That was really frustrating with that. But when they still had Rudolph in the pistol, now, I didn't know then that Rodgers was still going to, that he was potentially coming back. I just thought he was done. That Rodgers could be back in the game. I'm like, you're not going to get out of that, not realizing that that's a problem when you have a quarterback that doesn't have to do that. You're going to stick to your game plan that you prepared for the pistol so much all week that you can't go back to do the stuff that you literally did the week before by being under center. Then that's it. That's all. And by then, Rudolph had already thrown the interception. Before Rodgers came back, he threw the interception. They took it down, scored another touchdown. By the time even Rodgers came back. So by that time, score-wise, I knew it was done. But that whole philosophy of, in the pistol with Rudolph. That made no sense.
They run that first play with Rudolph, and I turned to Kyle. I said, "This isn't going to." Yeah, everybody was cheering when Rudolph goes in the game. They run that first play, and I said to Kyle, "This isn't going to go well." And the very next play, he throws the interception, and I said, "See," and yeah, it just continued to spiral.
Yeah,
I mean, it was awful. We came out of halftime with a 4-point lead, and we were up 2-0 in the turnover column.
Yeah.
And less than 2 minutes into the second half,
less than 2 minutes,
we were down. We were down 3, and we're even in the turnover battle. And it didn't take that long till we were down 10.
Yeah.
Well, 9, because they missed the extra point. But,
yeah.
And that was tough. That was tough.
Yeah. It was, yeah. And I mean, the mixed extra points, you're like, oh, yeah. But I mean, here's what's crazy. The Steelers finally are getting a drive together, and they don't finish it off. If they finish that drive off and get the 2-point conversion, they had a little bit of life.
Yes, they did.
I think that could have sparked the defense to maybe actually get a stop and say, hey, we're only down 1 score. Now, it would have taken both the touchdown and the 2-point conversion, which I don't know that they had that in them. But it was at least a possibility. Now, I'm pretty sure it was on that drive. Because I'm going to ask you this. I don't know if you saw, heard Rodgers' comments. I saw another breakdown with stuff with Aaron Rodgers with that play with Jonnu Smith.
And it was on that drive, I believe.
Yeah, because it would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's the only time they were close enough to really be a touchdown, other than when they had a touchdown.
Right.
That I'm like, I think he was talking about Jonnu Smith when he was talking about being in the film room. If you were to tell me 1 week from now, we're talking about, oh, wow, the Steelers just made another roster move. Jonnu Smith didn't like standing on the sidelines so much against the Ravens. He wants out. And so they let him go. You know what? I'd be happy with that. They need to get that dude off the field. If he's not watching film, if he can't pick up that, you're giving him targets over Pat Freiermuth,
who had 0 targets in this game.
Zero
that just
targets
blew my mind.
You're going to, I'm like, stop, but that's not the worst about Jonnu Smith. The worst, and it wasn't necessarily him. I mean, it's him because of who he is. That 4th and 2. You're going to line up. You're going to try to trick them and run the ball.
You're not tricking them when you put your jumbo package in.
Well, no, you put the jumbo package in, and then you look like you're going to pass. I'm sorry, but if you put the jumbo package in and then line up like you're going to pass, and they have a runs first defense out there, pass it. If you put the jumbo package in there and they have their personnel that's going to try to stop a pass, line up traditionally and run the freaking thing right down their throat. And preferably, if you're going right down their throat, you would have had a different running back out there. But you take your extra offensive lineman who's eligible, and you have him furthest out in the formation. Now, granted, it's a bunch formation at the line of scrimmage, but he's the one furthest away from the center, left to block a defensive back. You motion your 300-plus pound tight end across the formation or whatever, have him doing something else, and you ask your worst blocking tight end to have to go block a defensive lineman in order to get the 2 yards. That's just dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. Had a lot of feelings like that during this game.
Yeah. The last time they played the Bills in Pittsburgh, I'm pretty sure it was the last time they played them in Pittsburgh, or at least the last time we were there. I could just go back to 2019 and the whole Wildcat. Let's have a guy take a snap let's have a guy hand the ball off who's never handed the ball off before in college or the pros, because we want to run Wildcat and we're going to run a run. And of course they fumble it and give it away. That's kind of how I felt on that fourth down play. I'm just like, sometimes you just overthink it.
Yeah. And then really didn't even give yourself a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the whole idea of, you know what? Maybe if you find a play that works really well, you could run it a bunch of times. You know, kind of like what the Bills did.
Yeah. They made some slight changes here and there with their formations in terms of where they put their guys on the outside, or where they put their tight ends, their wide receivers, but really not that big a difference. And everything was the same. The entire line, everybody block left. Dalvin Cook take the handoff, one step left, swing it back to the right, and it was good for 8 yards minimum every time.
Well, and I just looked at some of the stills because KT Smith broke these plays down for us at SteelCareerNetwork.com. Obviously, if you didn't know, go there, check it out. This stuff is great. I looked at one of the stills. I'm like, the Steelers are just completely outflanked. They didn't adjust to not be outflanked. And you've got tight ends and stuff getting the block defensive backs because you just are outflanked completely on some of those plays because they didn't adjust and slide over. I'm sorry. To run an unbalanced line, like a lot of times when we would run on unbalanced stuff in high school, we would take an offensive lineman and go and put him on the other side. This, you didn't have, they're not doing that. They're just putting all their receivers that are bunched in all on one side.
Yes.
I mean, that's what they're doing. So they put them over there, and the Steelers just don't put enough people over there. You had 1-to-1 blocking in some of those situations. You had a blocker for every, because as someone, like I said, it coaches the high school level. It's coaching, but there's some basic fundamentals. But and what's sad is that I could apply something like this and see how the Steelers didn't get it right. You look at the ball. You look at how many offensive players you have that are blockers. So not your quarterback, not your running back. If you're running an I formation, you got a fullback, you count that as a blocker. How many blockers do you have on that side versus how many defenders they have? And generally what you want to do, you're not going to ever scheme to where you block all of them. But you want to have the person who's not blocked be furthest level away from the ball or furthest horizontal distance that it's tough for them to come over and make a play. And that's what you do. But there were times where the Steelers, because you think the defense already had, you can't block everybody because you got a quarterback not blocking somebody, and you got a running back who's got to be tackled. And still, it's the whole idea that how can you not have enough defenders where they can just block you and have everything to go? Let alone simply being able to just win the one-on-one matchups. That's the thing. The guys didn't even have to defeat a double team or anything like that. They just put blocker on blocker, and every single guy for the Bills did their job.
Yeah, and Dave, let me tell you, it looked a little different. The Steelers were running a little bit different type of defense. They were trying to stop the run in a different way. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers spent a lot of that time, and they spent a lot of time with 2 defensive linemen, 2 outside linebackers, and 3 inside linebackers. And 4 defensive backs. Mm-hmm. So they were bringing in an extra inside linebacker.
Yes.
I saw there were many times where in the first half it was Queen, Wilson, and Robinson. all in the game.
You mean not Robinson?
Harrison.
Harrison.
Sorry. Yes.
Is that his name? Malik
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Yes, I know. But I knew who you meant.
50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's funny is when the Bills tried to run the ball up the middle, they weren't getting anything.
No.
But they kept going back to those plays to flow one way and cut back to the outside, and Steelers weren't ready. They made no adjustment to it. It just continued to happen.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was basically they said, "Hey, we can get the Steelers to over pursue and make them pay for it," and they did.
yes.
Yeah. I will tell you this. I mean, you could say first half versus second half when you look at the rushing. Well, it was 125 yards in the first half and 124 yards in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, and it was like 25 attempts in the first half to 26 in the second, something like that. It was crazy. But the Bills only got 3 points in the first half, and then I'm not going to give them 23. I guess you got to take 7 off of that because of the one was scored by the defense.
Yeah,
but they could could put it in the touchdown zone too much in the second half.
Part of the reason they only had 3 in the first half is because we turned them over twice. We took 2 of their possessions away from being able to score points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, and some people still don't like him and everything, but I did see a difference with Patrick Queen not being out there in the second half.
Yeah, there was a drop off. Wasn't huge, but yeah, you noticed the difference. You noticed more of the communication stuff. Well, no, actually, I got to give Wilson some credit. He was doing good, but sometimes he was really. It looked like we had some plays where he was really late getting guys where he wanted them to be.
Yeah.
But don't know that we ever totally missed or whiffed on any of that, but it was just, because you can honestly say in terms of especially rushing the ball, there really wasn't a difference between the two halves.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're not done because we're going to talk about some other in-stadium things that weren't necessarily on the field. I've got several of them that we want to talk about with Big Bro, who was there, and then we'll turn the page and talk about this week a little bit. So if you're with us here live, we're not going anywhere. If you're listening to us on the audio only side, stick around. We'll be right back after this.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to not worry. We might be able to relax just because we're like, it is what it is. But you can't not worry. We're back at it, bro. All right. There's some things that happen I want to talk to you about from being in the stadium. All right.
Okay.
First of all, I'll ask this one. And this was actually Jeff was asking me about this. And he says, ask your brothers on the show so we can get some idea. There's some stuff coming out with some people posting videos from Bills fans and stuff on social media that talked about how soft Steelers fans are because they actually sit during the game. And Jeff wanted to know, is that really true? Do fans just sit the whole time during the game? And I said, no, they don't sit the whole time, but they don't stand the whole time.
Correct.
And you actually have, I don't know how it is, because you're up top, I'm down low, but you've sat in my seats before. I haven't sat in your specific seats before. To me, the way it works where I am, especially with me being a big, tall dude, I'm always worried about the guys behind me.
Yep,
and I say it to me. I mean, there's times where I stand up and I bend down because I don't want to be in someone's way behind me. Because the way I look at it, every single person paid to have a ticket to be in that game. I don't want to be in somebody else's way just because I think I have to see. That's my mentality, and I can't stand people that don't have that mentality. I really don't.
People,
But yeah, go ahead.
Dave, and you've noticed this, because I'll ask you, if you're a fan of the Steelers and you want to stand the entire game, there are 3 places where you can really spend your time.
Yeah.
Okay, the 2 ramps, and down in front of the jumbotron.
Yeah, there's
And
places
even there,
can go
you can't
and
see
stand,
the field in every spot.
yeah.
But most fans that want to watch the game and be standing the whole time are lined up, which is why you're over there, and there's banners and there's all kinds of stuff, and they're watching from on the ramps. Okay, the rest of us, yes, we're up and down. We're up and down for you're up when a big play's going on, or you're getting really excited. You go ahead and come up. But I'm like you, Dave. If I'm up, I turn and look to see the couple rows behind me of most everybody sitting. If they're back to sitting, I then sit because I do not want to block their view.
I don't stand, mainly, like I said, mainly because of my height. I do not stand until the people in front of me stand.
Yeah.
That's my general rule. Someone's got to go, and I mean, and I don't. There's times where I'll start to stand up, but I'll kind of be at the edge of my seat because I'm ready to stand up. I mean, and you stand up mid-play when stuff's going on and things of that nature. I mean, I was up and down and up and down and up and down at that Colts game all the time.
Yes.
There was other times I'd be like, man, my knees are killing me because the Steelers aren't giving me a reason to stand up.
Yep.
So yeah, you stand up in big moments. You stand up at weighty times and things of that nature. But at the same time, you're courteous to the people around you. And some people want to be like, "Oh man, the fans don't stand." No, the thing is and they're like, "Oh, they're soft. Those soft yinzers there don't." No, they're just not a-holes that don't care that you're in other people's way. You're actually considerate to the people around you. That's what it is, at least where I sit.
And let me say something, okay? I didn't, at least for where I was watching the game from on Sunday. From my experience, both there and over and back on the Clipper, this was the best group of Bills fans I'd ever dealt with. I hated Bills fans.
Oh yeah.
When I've been to other games. Even the preseason game I went and saw the Bills. Hated Bills fans there.
Mm-hmm.
This group of Bills fans that were around for this game were great. They cheered when their team was doing good.
Yep.
They did not talk a lot of trash. They did not, like, all the, think of that last game, all the chants and yelling going on after the game outside the stadium. Nope. Wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, that was pretty good. I'll say this: hey, Bills fans, if you're upset that the Yinzers weren't standing the entire game, well, I want to know what was wrong with you all then, because the Bills fans weren't standing either.
Uh-huh.
So
A lot of stuff down in the lower levels. I saw at least one video. I like what Kathy has to say. She says seats are too expensive to not sit in them.
That was my other thing. I paid the money for this seat. First of all, I can't stand the entire game. My back won't let me do it.
And I can't sit the entire game either because my back.
Correct. I'm the same way. Yes. It's like I need the up and down. Like, we hit halftime and I just looked at Kyle and said, I got to just stand for a little bit.
And a lot of times I'll do that. But remember, I was there for the weekend. They were celebrating the 40th.
Yes.
Super Bowl 40 team. I did not stand at halftime because I did not want to be in people's way. Whenever they're doing other, like you guys had the things that I get sometimes with the dog, with the dogs and the frisbees and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were supposed to get a drone show, but because of the wind, they had to go with the dogs.
Gotcha. So during those, I'll stand, but a lot of times I'll turn and I'll actually face the people behind me and say, let me know if I'm in your way. I just need to stand up and stretch. Because I'm just trying to be courteous to people around me. And I don't care what color they're wearing. I don't care if they're Steelers fans or fans of the opposing team. I don't go to the stadium to be a jerk, but that's just me. Speaking about being a jerk at the stadium, no, this really isn't. Okay? I know you didn't hear it as loud where you were, the way you commented on it, but I heard videos from the lower deck about the Fire Tomlin chants.
All right.
You said
Let
you
me-
didn't hear him as much.
Let me talk about those.
Okay.
Okay. Now I can only tell you what went on until about 4 minutes in the game. Then we were getting
Then
out
you
of
were
the
gone.
stadium, and I wasn't paying attention.
Gotcha.
But there were, I'd say, 3 or 4 times during the game that those chants started, and they seemed to come from pockets of the stadium. Okay, like the one time was lower level in front of us. Okay, but that was the only area that was chanting it. One time it was on the far side, same corner of us.
Yeah.
But that was the only area that was chanting it. Now, if you watch online some of the video clips with that, while you're hearing that chant, you'll also hear some booing.
Yeah.
That's because there were plenty of us that every time that chant started up, we booed.
Gotcha.
We were booing the chant.
You were booing the
because
chants.
that chant means nothing.
See,
Because
and I mean-
and there were enough of us in my section that we were talking about it after booing it. It's like the Steelers aren't getting rid of Coach Tomlin during the season. They're probably not getting rid of Coach Tomlin while he's still under contract, unless Coach Tomlin wants to leave.
Yeah.
What's the point? Okay.
And that's kind of how I've been for a long time with this whole kind of thing. And
it was never a whole stadium thing. It was never because it was never that loud.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm just curious about that to get your take.
So when
on how
people
that
when people took videos when it was happening in their section, well, it sounded loud.
Gotcha, because that's
where it was coming from.
happening.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Real interesting.
There was enough chanting of it going on that you knew it was happening, but I'll tell you what, that one was not the big deal.
No, because that's what I want to talk about. Because I was ready to do an article for this. I'm like, you know what? I don't. To me, thank you. Did you boo that one?
I started.
Did you boo Renegade?
No, I started it.
the boo of Renegade?
Yes. As soon as they cut
I don't
to the
think
screen,
you were alone, but you were
No.
one of the,
I got going, and our corner of the stadium got going, and then it just spread.
Yeah.
Okay, because I knew they were going to cut to it, and as soon as they cut to it, I was like, no. We are not giving you this after we just turned the ball over on downs when we're down 23-7. Okay?
Sorry, John has said Big Bro made history.
No, but again, it was all fans feeling like me. Okay? This is what Renegade has turned into in the stadium.
Yes.
Somewhat, is that they play it every game, no matter what now, because there are fans there that it might be the only time they ever go to a game, and they should experience a Renegade. Not the reason you should play it.
Yeah.
Not the reason at all.
Yeah.
I still love it, okay? Dave, most games, it gives me goosebumps. I booed through the whole thing and enjoyed booing all the way through because they shouldn't have been playing. Now, let me tell you this. So, as it cut to what I knew was going to be, everything quiet and to the end of the stadium view on the Jumbotron, and I started to boo. And when it really picked up to about the whole stadium is as it was fading to black. And it was loud. It was very loud with the boos. And then they did something that they don't normally do. The next thing that popped on the screen was the Steelers versus Bill. It was the emblem.
I saw that in
versus
someone's
okay?
video.
And
I was like, did
that
their video
popped.
glitch?
That popped up, and we all started to cheer because we thought they were going to nix the Renegade. And then they went into it anyway, and the boos got even louder.
Yeah.
It was just like, no. The team, and people were saying, no, the team didn't deserve it. They were dumb to play it.
Well, yeah. So, and also the players weren't into it. The fans
Nope.
were booing. It was, and that the thing is, I think I'm worried that, not worried, but worried's not the right word. There's no good word to say. There's the possibility that might have just killed Renegade for good.
It might have.
I hope that's not the case, because I know some people are like, please toss Renegade, is what outside Steeler fans said. I don't say that. My thing is, you stop making it a gimmick, stop making it a show, and actually make it about the football game.
Which is what it used to be.
I've been to games without a Renegade.
Correct.
I was at Troy Polamalu's last game. It was the playoff loss to the Ravens in the 2014 season. That's what I call the Ben Tate game. Remember, they had to sign him off the street because Le'Veon Bell got hurt the week before. There was no Renegade. It didn't fit. It never fit. There was never a time to do it. They didn't do it. Okay? The reason I think the booing of Renegade was so great was because they shouldn't have played it. And the fact that they still played it, to me, shows a disconnect from I'll just say this, team employees and the fans.
Yes.
To me, playing Renegade in that situation is saying, we are the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is who we are. This is what we do. And you fans and you peasants will take what we give you. Here is your Renegade. That's the way it felt like to me.
Yeah.
But, hearing that they actually did Renegade, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then I heard the reports of all the boos before anything came on TV. Back from commercial, I'm like, good. Boo the crap out of that. Because that's the thing. And honestly, you all heard my rant last week about Art Rooney II. I'm going to continue to be the thing. That's why I'm saying I go with I trust the evil that I know more than the evil that I don't know. Why I'm not screaming to fire Mike Tomlin, because I don't trust them to replace them. I don't trust that man to replace him with somebody that would be better. Better for the team, better for everything.
Yeah.
I just don't trust him, because what's he going to do? I'll be honest with you, because I'll say this again. This is stuff I don't want to get in the rant too much again. The Steelers would be the Pirates if it weren't for the NFL and the salary cap. Because Art Rooney II isn't worried about if he had to choose between making more money or winning more games, what do you think he's taking?
He's taking more money.
He's taking the money. Okay? He's not a football guy, he's a lawyer. That's what he is.
Yep.
And this is my opinion. I'm saying, could I be way off with it? Yeah, but I'm just saying, from everything that I've seen and the way they've done stuff, that's the way I feel about it. And that's why the whole idea of, well, we'll just keep giving you what the Steelers are, and Steelers fans are just, and then you talk about being disappointed that they don't do better. Well, if you don't do better, let them actually hire some decent coaches. Some people will say, well, yeah, it starts with the head coach. Yeah, it very well could. But you know what? Even if they hire a new head coach, they're not going to pay top dollar for an unknown.
And they're not going to be able to hire as many people as they want to hire, because we have the smallest staff in the league.
Yeah, they're not going to let them hire a bunch of quality assistants that you need they're not going to pay to attract them in. So my thing is, and some people want to complain about the coaches. I get it. They're not doing the job. But to me, the only hope you have with the coaches is that they will do something better, not that they'll actually be replaced, because it's not the way the organization is run. And that's why I say, why bother with the chant of fire Tomlin? Because they're not going to do it. That's not a Tomlin problem. That's an AR2 problem. Okay. Yeah. So to me, the playing of Renegade just emphasized my issues with Art Rooney II.
Oh,
it was just like, take this, Steeler fans. We will give you.
Honestly, most of the booing for that was geared towards letting Art Rooney know, you shouldn't be playing this song because we're not happy with your product. Yes. We're not going to sit here and cheer your product because you're telling us to.
Because you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And to top it all off, the Renegade played at 10 minutes and 8 seconds to go in the game. And the Bills proceeded to hold the ball for the next 8+ minutes and kick a field goal.
Yeah, and I mean, but it's not like you expected it to do anything. I mean, it's funny that if you really want to talk about what the Steelers, like you said in the first half, you felt that the game was lost. I felt like it was lost early in the third quarter. There was still a chance for the Steelers. And the moment their last chance was squandered to really do anything outside of making huge splash plays to really turn things around, the realistic chance, I mean, you had a realistic chance if you were able to put up 8 points there, and they didn't. And that's when you want to try to get the crowd fired up. The game was over at that point. Don't give me a renegade when the game's over. It's just yeah. So there's a lot of things going on, but
Let me say one last thing about the whole renegade thing. So there were probably a couple hundred Steeler fans that got up and danced to Renegade.
Mm-hmm.
And just about every Bills fan got up and danced to Renegade.
Yeah. You can't play it in a moment where your opponent can use it against you.
Yeah.
That's just dumb.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, because you want to know why? They had nothing to fear. They just got the stop they needed to win the
Correct.
game.
Yes. They had just put the last nail in the coffin, basically, and then we played Renegade.
But seriously, if the Steelers would have scored a touchdown, converted the 2-point conversion,
it would have
I
been
wouldn't have even,
perfect
if
time
the
to play.
Steelers, perfect. But my thing is, if the Steelers scored a touchdown and didn't get the conversion, I wouldn't have played it. I wouldn't have played it. They're still down 2 scores. Nope. You can't play that game in the fourth quarter with your team down 2 scores and your defense going on the field. You can't do that. Stop it. So, but there was just so much dysfunction across the board between franchise employees, coaching staff, players. It was about as much dysfunction on Sunday as you could get. But I'm still scared that all of a sudden I'm going to wait, you thought that was dysfunctional? Hi, I'm week 14. Steelers, hold my beer. That's honestly what I'm afraid of.
I know.
Is that this seems like it's the lowest point that you can reach. And yet, it's one of those things that, like, if you think that's bad, just you wait.
The only thing I'll say is that if it goes lower than that, I will basically just be laughing at that point.
Yes.
I will actually just find it humorous.
Yeah. 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 So the Steelers have to go on the road to Baltimore for week 14. I'm going to tell you something. Baltimore Ravens, even in the midst of their 5-game win streak, I wasn't impressed.
No. They were
the
not.
Bears did more to lose that game than what the Ravens did to win it. Same with the Vikings, who they're just a hot mess now. They beat some bad teams that were playing bad while the Ravens were just playing But as bad as I think the Ravens are right now, the Steelers are worse.
Yep.
The Steelers are worse. The Steelers are playing worse now than what the Ravens are. And that's
this week.
Any other time,
game,
even if the Steelers lost to the Bills, but in a very hard fought, respectable game, that one that you could just be like, oh man, I wish they could have pulled that one off. You could have maybe said, all right, the Bills are way better than the Ravens we're playing right now. Let's go get this. But they got embarrassed. That was embarrassing. They got pushed around. That Josh Allen touchdown. That was just. I don't understand why they just didn't take the towels, their white towels out, and just say, here we go. We'll wave the white flag this time. So, and that's the thing. And the Steelers, the Ravens could beat the Steelers 52-0 on Sunday, And I'm still not going to be convinced that the Ravens are really that great until they actually do it against somebody else.
Yeah.
Because they're just, I've seen the Ravens play well and be a good team, and this is not them right now. So, I mean, my goodness, they had never lost a home Thursday night game since the formation of the AFC North in 2002. And they looked awful in that game.
Yes, they did.
So, but then once again, this is the third time in the last 4 games that the Steelers are facing a team on extra rest. Ravens are coming off their mini bye, Bills were coming off their mini bye, and the Bengals were coming off their bye. So it is what it is. It usually you don't get that much in a row. That's a little bit of neglect on the scheduling. But I mean, and they're at home for it. I mean, the Ravens are at home for it. Steelers got to go to Baltimore. Before we get into scores or anything, what's just kind of any kind of overall thoughts?
Yeah, I do. So, again, I brought this up last week, and I'm going to bring it up again this week, Dave, because I think we need to look at some things, because I'm going to bring up things from a couple games. So we just played the Bills, who were playing 2 backup tackles. And several weeks ago, we were playing the Chargers with 2 backup tackles, one of which then got injured during the game, and you saw the backups back up.
Yep.
And in those 2 games, the Steelers' defense has managed to get 1 sack.
1 sack. I hope the tackles are great and healthy for the Ravens. They'll have their tackles ready to go, and the Steelers will get 6 sacks.
The other thing I noticed, Dave, is it looks like our defensive line, we don't do much. We line up and just straight rush. We 80% of the time. It's like we don't stunt, we don't twist, we don't do.
They want to say that we're better than the guy across from us.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you're just not.
Well, what happens is once that guy figures out how to deal with you, he knows what's coming every single time.
Yeah.
And that's a lot easier to stop. So, throw that in there with us then not taking advantage of the missing inside linebackers of the Bears. And it just goes to show that the Steelers, it doesn't matter if a team's decimated by injuries. They do nothing to try to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to say one thing. I will tell you this. Last year, the 2024 Baltimore Ravens, they finished the season 12-5. 2 of their losses when they played Thursday than the week before.
Interesting.
They lost after they lost to Kansas City in week 1. They lost at home to the Raiders last year in week 2 after the extended rest. Then they played the Bengals on Thursday night in week 10. Week 11, go and lose to the Steelers in Pittsburgh. The Steelers beat them last year when they had the mini bye. So you could talk about that, and they got the rest. Let's see if it, that could have been an anomaly. I mean, the year before they had one Thursday game, and then they had to go to the Chargers the next week, and they beat the Chargers in 2023. In 2022, they played a Thursday night game, and then they played the next week. They played on Monday, and they won in New Orleans. I'll do one more. 2021. They played a Thursday night game, and then they beat the Bears. That's when the Bears were not very good, I don't think. And they beat them by 3 in Chicago. So I mean, so they won those. So it's just, but the Ravens also weren't very good that year too. So they had a losing record. So that could mean so much. You ready to talk about this? You ready to do a score and get moving? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will. I'm ready. So. I don't see how anybody out there can have faith in this team. I expect in the staff picks article this week, Jeff Hartman will still pick the Steelers to win, but it will be like last week. He'll pick them to win by a point. And Jeff, good for you. I can't do it. I said after last week's game against the Bears that this team was trash, and they kind of proved me right this past week. They are not playing good football. So easy for me to say this one going into Baltimore. I'm going to say that the Ravens win 24-10.
24-10. Okay. I get that score. I'm not putting this in there yet because I'm not going to give a score, but I'm going to tell you a few things of how I'm feeling. The whole reason I said what I was said last week, and some people really disagreed with me, but I'm still standing by. You look at the narrative of that game and who they lost to on the road and how much they lost by. That was not a terrible loss. This last one was. The loss to Chicago was not a wake-up call. This loss to the Bills was a wake-up call. So the Steelers must respond or just lay down and die. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because if you lay down and die, and I mean, if you lay down and don't respond to this game, you're done. You have to sit back and wait for everyone else to lose games and you to maybe pull off some wins. And you still have, you still got to go to Detroit. I mean, Miami's playing better, and that's on a Monday night. You know how Aaron Rodgers would already be in bed, so that's going to be a problem. If you want to go with that narrative, that was tongue in cheek for me, just so you know. Oh, Kathy, you jumped the gun. You thought I was going to do it already. She's got to get it typed in and ready to go. Get it ready, Kathy. So this is what the Steelers need to do. They need to respond. But I don't know that. But I don't have faith that they will.
No,
I don't. All right, I'm putting it out there now for you all to drop your scores in there. So I could see a way that the Steelers could pull this off, but I don't expect them to.
Right.
It's not beyond the realm of possibility. The Ravens are not that great of a team. The Steelers could come out. Think about it. What would you say might be the two best performances the Steelers? I know the scores are coming in, and I'll get to them in a second. Who do you think? Two games do you think might be the two best performances for the Steelers so far this year?
Colts and Patriots.
Colts and Patriots. Okay, those were really good wins. What were the two most decisive wins they had this season?
Hold on. I don't know. Tell me. I'm getting too tired to think that hard, Dave.
Browns and Bengals.
Gotcha.
Those were the two most decisive. Now they things that didn't go well on the short week. Steelers don't do well on the road on the short week. But when they finally got the Bengals, and you're like, but the Bengals were really bad then, and the Browns were really bad then. Yeah, that's true. I don't know that the Ravens are much better. Okay, but my point is, I think the familiarity of their opponent could actually be a benefit. I don't know that it's enough to make them win the game, but it actually gives me a whole idea of if they're going to show up and play hard against an opponent, I could see it in this game more than any other one. I mean, if I had to say, oh my goodness, the Steelers, they're playing terrible. They have no life. That you pick one game on the schedule, one opponent on the schedule for them to play that would maybe get them fired up, then I would say Baltimore. I would. Now, the question is, will they respond? I don't know that they will. Here we go. Got to get to these now. Ready. There's a bunch of them, so let's do it. Matt Cat 49. Remember, if you don't say which team, we're going to assume you mean Steelers. He has Ravens 24, Steelers 23. Brian Brown's got 19-9 Steelers. Afton Ford has 42-9 Ravens. 42 but that would be so disheartening, but that also wouldn't shock me. Matthew Bunk has 24-16 Baltimore. Hoping he's wrong. Pickens, you big dummy, have Ravens 73-3. Henry will have 400. I usually don't read the rest of these, but 442 rushing yards. That's hilarious. Okay, Steelers Chick 46 has Steelers 16, Ravens 14. To me, if the Steelers are going to win this game, it's going to have to be one of those dirty kind of games. TD, this is funny. Tom Dessenberger has 31-13 Bears. I don't know if he really meant Bears or if he meant Ravens, but I think that's funny. Kathy Ford has 24-18. That's going to be Steelers unless she tells me otherwise. TR Pratt has 23-13 Ratbirds. Outside Steeler fan has Ratbirds 37-17. Garbage time TD to Roman Wilson because that seems that's the only time they can get him a touchdown. Do you think Thielen plays this week, Rich?
Well, I would hope. I hope so, but probably
I would
not
hope so,
much.
but I would not be shocked at all if he was inactive.
Yeah,
I really hope
know.
so, but we'll see. Okay. Lifelong fan has Steelers 17-14. Jamie Carlo has 21-10 Ravens. That's some people answering when I was asking the other question before. Brent Howell, not Brent Thal. Sorry, Brent Howell has Steelers 23, Ravens 20. Let's see. People were answering when I asked that question before. Here's one. Rajan, I guess. Steelers 13, Ravens 7. And I am happy 27-10 Ravens. Yeah, I don't think there's I'm not going to go as far to say the 73-3, but I'm not going to knock any Steelers fan that thinks, hey, they can turn this around because they can. But can and will are very two different things. But no matter how the Steelers perform Sunday at 1 o'clock when God intended NFL football will be played, the last time before Christmas that we get a 1 o'clock game for the Steelers, I'm still going to be watching. I'm still going to be cheering. I'm still going to be hoping for the best. I'm just already preparing for the worst. That's just how it is. And we're going to continue to prepare for you here at Steel Curtain Network. We've got our podcast coming your way. I don't know if Jim's going to be back for Steel City Insider. They gave us an episode last week without Jim because he was dealing with a death in the family. So I still don't know what's going on there. So I can't say for sure what's happening with that show. Otherwise, we'll have everything back. There's just been so much going on with him. I really feel for him. I didn't hear him at all or anything at the press conference or anything or after the game. So, but other than that, we'll have our podcast for you. Keep checking steelcurtainnetwork.com. We're going to continue to bring it there. Okay. So someone said that he might have even recorded today. I hadn't checked in with him if we have one coming tomorrow or not. But we'll just have to see. Rich, what do you have to say to close us out here tonight?
It's been a rough 2 weeks. And I will say this. I will not be sitting on my couch watching football at 1 p.m. when God intended it to be played. Mm-hmm. I will be at the Buffalo Wild Wings out near the Pittsburgh airport watching the game and writing the knee-jerk reaction article. Because my wife and I are taking Kyle to a concert for his birthday, being played at the Roxy Theater in McKees Rocks. So we will be in Pittsburgh on Sunday, even though the Steelers will be in Baltimore. But I will be in Buffalo Wild Wings, chomping on some wings, wearing my Troy Fautanu jersey. Mm-hmm. And Kyle and I have already said we're going to see the Wood Brothers on Sunday night. If the Steelers win the game, the jerseys get worn to the concert.
There you go. They are. Yep. There you go. So that's a nice little, somewhat early birthday present for Kyle. His his birthday's this month, right before Christmas, though. So that's good that you guys are able to do that. And you know that if there's a technical issues, you'll have to tap me in for the knee jerk.
I will, but there shouldn't be. I've been to this location before, and usually I'm good to go. So things should be good. I'm like you, Dave. Could the Steelers pull this off and win in Baltimore? Yes, but absolutely they could. I'm just not sure that they can. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what? I'm going to say it a little differently. I'm not even sure some of them, if it matters, if they do.
That's the thing.
Yeah. And that's what has me sad. But although at times during these games I get frustrated with individual players or coaches or things like that, in the end, you know, if you cut my arm, I'm still going to be bleeding black and gold, because that's just the way we were raised, and that's what we are. So I'll be there watching the game, win or lose, 1 p.m. Sunday. Can't wait.
Look at that.